Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. I was over at EVO this year and managed to get some more hands-on time with the game and had a lot of fun with it. And I got a few things to show you here, like all new gameplay, and I also had an interview with the developers. Now, I guess one thing just to mention here out of the gate, the build at EVO was actually the same build at Summer Game Fest. So when it comes to like gameplay mechanics or the characters, it is the exact same thing that we did have hands-on before. So a lot of the things I did at Summer Game Fest basically are as applicable here. So if you didn't see any of that coverage, please check the video description. I'll have all that coverage for you there linked so you can check it all out. Now, as for the gameplay you're looking at right now, so I am Preacha and I'm also fighting Koichi, who is also Preacha. Koichi is a former Guilty Gear pro, really good at what he does, now works for SNK. And when we were playing, the idea was, the press media, whatever, he's going to show people the ropes, right? And I said, don't show me the ropes because I already understand the gameplay, right? What I want you to do is just destroy me. Don't hold back. Give me the worst you got. And boy, howdy did he ever. In our playtime, I won all of one game. And then I never even won a round after that because Daddy got mad. After I won the one game, he was already beating me pretty bad. But then he woke up and it got pretty rough. But thankfully, because he's so good, we got some really good level Preacha play here. So if you're looking to understand, Preacha combo theory, what Preacha can be going for, Koichi has a really good idea as this is his main character. So I'll just let this footage be rocking in the background while we talk about everything else. And as for City of the Wolves at EVO, I was actually very impressed at the general level of attention the game was getting. Like, fighting game at EVO is going to get attention no matter what, right? But just noticing, like, say, some of the lines, the SNK booth was actually directly across the way from the Riot 2XKO booth, and the City of the Wolves area was holding its own. It actually always had people there and in large numbers. So, as an SNK fan, that makes me very happy that when put up against a titan like Riot, they can pull comparable numbers. That's really cool. Also, big props to both of them, both Riot and SNK. On every night when everyone else was shutting down, closing down, all that, they both stayed late every time. They made sure as many people could get their hands on with the games as possible, and good on them for that. I applaud that heavily. So now some quick gameplay thoughts before we get to the interview section of the video. So once again, this is the exact same build as Summer Game Fest. The biggest difference is, unlike Summer Game Fest, I actually got to play against another person. Summer Game Fest, they put me in front of the system and basically let me lab stuff out for a while, which is great. That's kind of what I do, right? But it was nice to play against just somebody else and get the feel for the battle system rather than just labbing everything. And I got to appreciate certain aspects of the game I didn't before. Like combo structure for one, I already had a good idea with rev canceling, all that, but Koichi showed me a lot more, more optimal-ish routes, and I thought those were really fun, right? Stuff I couldn't figure out in my immediate time at the Summer Game Fest. Also, the more advanced stuff. One of the first things he showed me was, hey, here's micro walk combos, do a normal, walk forward a frame, and then do another normal, and it wouldn't work without that. So if you want the super high depth technical combos, it's there. And for Preacha specifically, it's close heavy kick, micro walk, close heavy punch, links. So the easy stuff is there. Combo structure is not that difficult once you understand the rev cancel flow, but it's also very freeform, and the hard stuff's there if you want it. Also got a big appreciation for some of the new mechanics like the rev guard, the orange shield you're seeing here, effectively like a push block mechanic, and can force moves to whiff, right? Push block is nothing new, at least in, say, more Versus style games, but having it here, it really curtails a lot of autopilot offense, so the defender doesn't just have to sit back and take it if you know when to rev guard at the right time. And it was something I was getting the hang of, oh, okay, I know this string, rev guard, push you out, make your next move whiff, punish this move. That felt really good, as well as just more general stuff like doing a full empty jump into, just defense, because I'm anticipating your uppercut reversal style move coming my way. Just general defense in this game feels good. So much of modern fighting games is offense, 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 with very little for the defender to kind of do anything about it. So defensive mechanics in this game being strong and smart, I have a real appreciation for. Also, on that note, real quick here, just something else I like that's smart. So it's a 5-button game, light punch, heavy punch, light kick, heavy kick, and the rev button, right? It's R1 on default pad layout. And I did not know this originally, but if you hold R1 and just tap up, it automatically hops for you. I know in SNK style games, some people legitimately struggle with things like hops, and now you can literally just button, direction, hop, automatically does it for you. You don't have to stress the timing, because usually the timing window is kind of short-ish, like 4 frames or something. So if you struggled on the execution end of things in SNK games with hops, it's literally a non-issue. If you never had a problem, hey, you can just do it the same way you always did. But if you did have issues with it, now they made it a lot easier and a lot more friendly. SNK games are kind of scary compared to, other fighters. So I like the easy use being added to the game. So basically, thumbs up all around. Getting to play some matches here, getting to flow, it feels really good. Once again, the build is the same as the Summer Game Fest build, so check out those other videos. It's going to be in the video description if you want to check them out. And that said, let's talk the interview. So the interview, they let me speak to Konya-san, who is the director for City of the Wolves, and also Soeda-san, who is the artist for City of the Wolves and many other SNK games. Now, I tried to push the envelope on some of the questions, and some of the answers are simply, hey, we can't talk about that yet. I don't got a massive reveal for you like I did with the last interview where I managed to get them to talk about, hey, we're making new characters for King of Fighters 15, but hopefully you'll like some of the questions and like some of the answers. So one of the first things I asked was, given the very shock reveal and instant drop of SVC Chaos at EVO, is there any more SNK games, any more SNK classics that are kind of in the oven looking for re-releases? And the answer I got back that yes, absolutely, there's plans of more re-releases and reboots in the future. They're not saying which yet. Can't give it all away, right? But the one thing they did want to say is no matter how obscure you might think the franchise is or how unpopular or whatever metric, every possible game from back in the day from the back catalog of SNK games is up for consideration. It's not to say that they're going to do everything, right? But everything is possible. Don't write any game out. So Psycho Soldier 2025? Crazier things have happened apparently. So one of the other questions I asked was simply the art style. Unlike, say, some older SNK games, not vilifying any games here, but City of the Wolves has much more distinct artistic look than, say, KOF 14 or KOF 15. And they talked about that specifically in the context of Garou, Mark of the Wolves. Back then, 2D game, more of an anime style, their words. And the transition from 2D to 3D, because they do want to be faithful to the game, it's rough, right? Because you have so many more aspects you got to worry about, like shadows, how things look from different angles, shading, it's a lot harder when you consider things on more of a grand scale. And on that end, when they had the new look in mind, they wanted to make sure everything popped, right? We had the more anime style, and they talk about a lot of games do cell shading, which they're doing here, but in a more anime way. Think a lot of arena fighters and that kind of stuff, right? But they wanted things to pop in more of a comic, American comic style. And I think that's very apparent on some the bigger level 2s and the Hidden Gear Supers, the kind of the posterization dot style and all that. They wanted a very defined aesthetic going into the game, not just, good graphics. And on that note, I think they kind of hit it out of the park. One thing aesthetically City of the Wolves absolutely has is style. Now, story is a big one. One of the things they said they want to set out with this game is basically, like Cody Rhodes, finish the story, right? Garou Mark of the Wolves was 25 years ago now, and it set up a story. It had a whole thing, Terry, Rock, East dead, Rock seemingly betraying Terry and joining with Kane/Kine, however you want to pronounce that. Basically, a lot of things that are currently unresolved, unfinished, they want to finish that. They want to give everything resolution. The people who waited 25 years for the next chapter of the story, they want to give it to you. On that note, in the direct follow-up question, I asked, well, how is the story going to be presented? And it's one of those deals where they can't give me all the specifics right away. There's stuff to be announced in the future. But they did say, in comparison to King of Fighters 15, things are going to be a bit more varied. King of Fighters 15, you pick your team, you fight Verse or Tomoraga, I guess, in 15 specifically. You get the ending, that's it, that's all. It's going to be a bit more nuanced than that in City of the Wolves. Every character, as they said, it has their own specific story arc. Things will not play out the same way every time. Now, as for more specifics, wait for announcements, I suppose, but that was the answer that they gave. Another question I asked, because I see this a lot on Twitter, right? People call this game, City of the Wolves, they call it Garou 2, like Mark of the Wolves 2. They don't necessarily call it Fatal Fury, right? And I asked on that specific branding end of things, what do they perceive the game as? And on that note, specifically, it's the next chapter of Fatal Fury. Yes, it is a direct continuation of Mark of the Wolves. So it is a sequel in that way to Mark of the Wolves, but it is Fatal Fury properly. Continuing the Mark of the Wolves story, but there's more than that. It's tied to more than just that. It is definitively the next Fatal Fury game. It is not Mark of the Wolves 2. And in recent times, we're getting more context with that, right? We just recently had the Billy trailer. Billy very much has nothing to do with Garou Mark of the Wolves, and he's very much there and seemingly in an important place plot-wise. And it's all but confirmed in that we don't have a trailer in our face. We're going to get characters like Joe and Mai Shiranui. So yes, these people are not in Mark of the Wolves. They're going to do their own thing. They're going to bring their own story. So while we are moving forward, we'll see what happens with Rock. We'll see what happens with Terry and Kane. This is the next Fatal Fury game for sure. So one of the last questions I got to ask was just talking about DLC, right? DLC characters, you know, post-launch support, very big deal in any fighting game, right? Because in a lot of ways, the game's not enough anymore. You can have the best game in the world, but if there's no DLC, there's no content, people will eventually kind of fall off. So you always want post-launch support. And they are very much committing to that. You know, without going into specifics, right? They can't exactly tell me who's going to be DLC or not, but they said they had a lot of plans. There's a lot of things they wanted to do with the King of Fighters 15 that they basically, their hands were kind of tied or they just didn't have the resources. Just stuff they want to do that they couldn't at the time actually pull off. So yeah, very much expect, you know, DLC characters and all that kind of stuff. And they want to give players an experience with post-launch support that they feel they can only give you with specifically City of the Wolves and like the Southtown branding. So I'm assuming that means, you know, expect like a lot of OG Fatal Fury characters as DLC down the road. Their plans are, at least on paper, going to be more expansive for post-launch support and DLC than they were going to be for the King of Fighters 15. There was a few other questions I asked that I just got like the most diplomatic answers on because I don't know if they're scared to say something. I tried to ask, you know, where would you rather live, Southtown or Metro City? And the response I got back to was, we love both Capcom and SNK. I suppose, you know, with Mai and Terry going to Street Fighter, SVC Chaos 3 release, they're terrified to say anything that would make people think certain ways about more further collaborations. I tried to ask, you know, hey, is there any specific number of DLC we're looking at per year? And got shut down hard on that one. There will be DLC characters, rest assured, but they're not exactly like talking exact numbers or scope just yet. They got their plans, they got their marketing campaign, you know, we'll figure it out as it goes. We still got a lot more regular characters to be revealed yet. The pace is seemingly picking up. We had the Billy trailer and the Kevin trailer, right? Kevin and Evo, Billy at China Joy. You know, with the game launch being, you know, in the long scope of things, not too far away, right? Probably like February or March next year. Things are picking up. The pace is picking up. And that's it for my interview questions. Once again here, just hands-on time in the game. I've been very blessed that I've got to try the game twice now. And this game is going to be something special. It is a lot of, you know, the classic Garou Mark of the Wolves gameplay, but with a lot of new modern features built in. Characters like Preacher. I think Preacher is a home run. Preacher is absolutely not my normal, like, kind of character I would play. And I think she kind of rules. Like, to get me out of my comfort zone takes a lot, right? And Preacher can do it. So, like, even, like, the new characters, I think, are pretty sweet. They're sort of hitting on all cylinders. Once again, the game looks so good. If you have not seen it in person, I know it looks good enough when you're looking on video. In person, it's actually just really something else. I think they got something special on their hands here. And, you know, we get the right mix of, you know, a lot of the classic Mark of the Wolves characters. Now with Billy, we extra know that we're going to be getting a lot of the classic Fatal Fury characters as well. The newcomers are cool. They just got a recipe for success going on here. Once again, at EVO, the booth was always filled up. There was always people. The interest is high, and I think they got a banger on their hands. So that said, for EVO, I got a lot of other EVO footage and news on the channel already, and there is more to come, especially, like I say, on the 2XKO front. So check the channel for lots of other stuff that's going on that's big in fighting games right now, and lots more to come over the next few days as well. That all said, though, that is the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Fatal Fury.